bring the gun out, cock it, come out and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
He's in the Guinness Book of World Records. He is the only winner of Fast Draw's Triple Crown. He holds 18 world records, has won 800 championships and over 3,500 trophies. Who is he? He's Bob Munden, the fastest gun who ever lived.
It is my pleasure this time to introduce to you the winner of hundreds of major championships in our sport throughout these United States, the winner of over 3,000 trophies alone, the holder of all world records in speed shooting since 1960. You may have seen him on such national television programs as Johnny Carson, Merv Griffin, Mike Douglas, Wide World of Sports, Good Morning America, PM Magazine, CNN News. Possibly you saw him on one of the David Frost Guinness Book of World Records specials, because this gentleman is recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records as the fastest man with a gun who ever lived. From Butte, Montana, Mr. Bob Munden.
I went from cap guns to real guns to competition to show business. One thing led to another. None of it was premeditated. And I have taken what I've learned from one stage to the next and made something out of it. And at this point, I've gone from competition, sporadically shooting competition actually, to full-time entertainment with a shooting gun. Shooting guns for a living. That's all I do. And I remember my father taking a 12-gauge shotgun, a single-shot shotgun one time, and swapping it straight across for two nickel-bladed Ivor Johnson revolvers. Well, I was popping off rifles and BB guns and everything else in them years, and then when he brought those two chrome-plated pistols home, that was the beginning of what I do today, and that was many years ago. I entered my first professional shooting tournament when I was 11 years old. And we have kids, pardon?
Where was that?
It was a Big Bear, actually it was in Hesperia, California, at a leather slap. And it was held at a dump, really literally a dump. It was a place where you could go and shoot bullets and, you know, you're down in a hole, and it was quite safe and sane. And frankly, most of the shooting in the early years, with the exceptions of West Thompson's Juniper Tree Rifle Range up in Canyon Country, which was known then only as Soledad Canyon, West Thompson created the first gun range where fast draw or the like with live ammunition was actually shot. That was one of the first places where it was annually shot, or monthly, even monthly. And I would go as often as I could, being as I came from Big Bear, kid going to school full-time, whatever. Well, I'd bust my chops and get over there and mix it up with the guys, you know, and they'd come to Big Bear, and we'd go down to Apple Valley and Hesperia and run around Victorville Country and go all these different places around Southern California. And fast draw started in Southern California, all of it, from blanks to live ammunition to whatever. It all hubbed in Southern California.
Now, what year is this all happening? What year?
Yeah, we're talking 52, 51. You know, this is when it really kicked into gear.
Fast draw is a unique combination of art and science and takes years of practice and dedication. As with any shooting sport, safety is extremely important. We do not recommend that you try any of the fast draw techniques you will see in this videotape. And under no circumstances should you try this with live ammunition.
Now, the reason that gun goes back in the holster so fast is because I'm simply, in tournament competition, they have a rule that if you turn around with the gun in your hand, let's say that this is down range, and I shoot, and then I have the gun this way, and then I turn around with the gun in my hand. This is unsafe gun handling. What you do is you shoot down range, holster it down range, and then turn around. This is a safe aspect of shooting. It creates good habits. Well, they're definitely trying to get me out of a tournament any way they can. So if I turn around with that gun in my hand one time, they're going to eliminate me from a contest just like that. So I developed the habit of drawing and boom, putting it right back in the holster just as quick as I could, so they couldn't catch me with that thing out of my holster. For no other reason, I did it for myself. So I just went boom, I just put it back in the holster. Now it's just part of the draw. It's automatic to return the gun so quickly. Well, you know, 7,000 people a year shoot throughout the United States of America anyhow, shoot themselves trying fast draw. None of them are professional. If they were, they wouldn't shoot themselves. But the main thing that separates the pro from a novice is that we use what we call a bullet deflector. And that deflector isn't on this particular holster right now. On the other holster, I have it on there. It's made of chromoly or stainless steel. It comes out the bottom of the holster at a 45-degree angle. If you prematurely fire the gun, for whatever reason, your mistake, the trigger breaks in the middle of the draw, instead of the bullet slamming into your leg, ankles, or a combination of and crippling you for the rest of your life, instead it hits the steel plate and the plate deflects it away, protecting you. And even with the bullet deflector with live ammunition, you're talking a very radical kind of shooting. It's dangerous. You can actually draw a single action and kick it out of your hand in the middle of the draw, and then you've got a cocked gun loaded floating in the air. When it hits the ground, it may go off, and when it does, where's it going? So it's a little bit of a risk when you play this game with live ammunition. No, I don't recommend that anybody ever try fast draw. It is highly, now I'm talking live ammunition. Now, there's other ways you can shoot targets with fast draw without playing with bullets, or lead bullets anyway. We have a thing called wax bullets where you can take well, for instance, you can take the brass that fits in the gun that you have at home and reprime that brass, leaving the case empty, take that case and shove it through a block of, let's say, paraffin wax, or a combination of melting it down, making a flat, half-inch or less wax, and then shoving that casing through the wax. Now you've got a bullet. Just put a primer behind it. No powder, no anything, just a primer, put it in the gun, and I'll tell you what, 20, 30 feet, that little wax bullet is as accurate as any bullet there is. It really is quite accurate, but you don't have the danger factor, or for that matter, the noise of live ammunition. And it's safe. You can actually shoot it in your garage against a carpet or a mattress or whatever, and you can play that way. But even those smart, if you boot one down the holster, I'll tell you that. They'll take a little hide off your hand and ruin a few pair of pants while you're at it. But that's the hazards of any good sport. You know, fast draw, or quick draw, as you might wish to call it, was created by the movies. The idea of two men facing off one another down some dusty street in some western town. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there is not one incident recorded in history by any law officer, or anyone else for that matter, where two men premeditated, faced off, and drew guns at each other. In other words, fast draw is in fact fiction. It never really happened. Oh, there were indeed gunfights, but they were no different then than they are today in reality. And if you stop to think about it, the guns and the holsters used in the traditional early West were not capable of shooting fast draw as we think of it and know it. As an example, the guns that my wife and I are using up here are highly modified for the purpose for which we use them. They are engineered for the purpose of speed, so they do not break down in the use at high levels. Well, these people in the Old West did not have the ability or the know-how to make such conversions. So these are indeed one of the reasons why fast draw never happened. And the other? Well, the holsters were designed to keep a gun securely in place. So, while riding a horse as an example, so you wouldn't lose the gun. But you certainly wouldn't draw a gun fast from such a secure holster, now would you? Now, these are two reasons alone why fast draw never happened. But we have taken what the great movies have created and turned it into a highly professional and very sophisticated shooting sport, as you're about to see. And there are two basic ways of what we call thumbing the gun, and thumbing is what we use in the Western movies. And when they drew those guns, it wasn't quite as simple as you might think. In fact, thumbing the 6-gun is one of the more difficult things you can do with any kind of a gun, if you're talking about drawing from leather as an example. And in those Western movies that we don't see, they may go through many sequences in a movie, doing it over and over and over, take 1, take 2, take 3, etc., until they get it done right, one time. Of course, you only see the results of the one proper draw. But here's the process of which takes place in a drawing, the gun, as we see them do in the Western movie. Now, the holster and the equipment I'm using here is a Buscadero. This particular holster is made by Gordon Davis Leather. And this particular holster is designed for the thumbing method of drawing a 6-gun. It hangs low, almost to a straight down, with a 25-degree slant to the forward from the bottom forward. Now, this gives us an angle of the barrel pointing forward. Now, the idea of this was two things. First of all, the muzzle is not pointing directly down the leg at the foot. It is pointing this way, at this angle, if you see the follow-through. And even if you did go straight down the holster, down there, that was the theory. But what they didn't realize that most people that draw a gun, when they draw the gun, will pull the gun forward like so. Now, if you'll take a look at where that muzzle is pointing now, it goes right back through the welt of the holster and right back where we don't want it to go to begin with. So you got to remember that when you draw a gun, you don't do this. You want to keep that gun perpendicular with that angle and keep the gun into a forward position. Now, what's very difficult about drawing a gun single action with a stock hammer, this requires a certain movement of hand. And I use this draw in a different angle, a different manner, but I'm going to show you the two basic methods that are used. Now, this gun I'm using is a Colt single action 45 caliber, and this gun has a stock hammer on it. Now, the gun cannot be fired by pulling the trigger. It must be cocked first and then fired. Now, because of this stock hammer, it's not modified in any way. So to hit this particular hammer in a draw position, I have to rotate the thumb from the front of the gun so I can get that hammer back like so. Now, understand that when you start shooting fast draw with live ammunition, this becomes very critical, extremely dangerous, because once the hammer is cocked, and cocking it in the holster is mandatory for speed in reality, the only thing that is now holding that hammer is the trigger itself. If the trigger breaks, down it goes. And this, you have no control over that. Now, if you make a mistake physically, the results are the same. And usually it happens like this. You'll draw, cock, and get to the gun prematurely, or the gun breaks prematurely. As soon as you let go of the hammer to draw the gun, why, of course, it goes straight down the holster. This is what's so hazardous about fast draw. This is why I do not recommend anybody ever try fast draw with live ammunition. The variables for a hazard, there are quite a few. And let me tell you one other thing before we go any further. You can also draw these guns, cock them, and kick them. You can draw the gun, cock the hammer, bring it out, and shoot, push the gun forward prematurely, catching the barrel of the gun on front of the holster. When you do this, that will literally kick that gun right out of your hand, out of control, in the air. When it hits the ground, then it goes off. Well, you don't realize, you have no idea where it's going to go at that point. That requires a little forethought in playing this game. So do your homework, but more than anything else, don't even try it with live ammunition. It's really radical. But at any rate, let me show you how this draw works with a stock hammer. You'll get into a draw position of this magnitude. You'll be right in front of the hammer. And what you'll do is you'll rotate the wrist. You'll rotate the wrist, hit the hammer, get onto the back strap, bring the gun forward, and get on to target and touch the trigger. That's the way that draw looks, just like so, pulling it, getting onto target, and touching the trigger. And you do that over and over again until you get it just right. Boom, just like that. And you speed it up, boom. That's what it looks like when you speed it all up. There you go, very, very fast. That's very, very fast for that kind of a draw, right there. Now, that is thumbing a stock gun. Now, you can take this gun, get on target and pull the trigger. You can speed that up by taking it and shooting it right over the top of the holster as such. But I'm using a stock hammer. That requires a very short motion, and you start very close to the hammer and rotate, boom, there it is. That's the draw, thumbing with a stock hammer. Now we're going to put all of these things that we've put together here for you, and we're going to apply it to a draw, and we're going to draw, cock, and fire the gun, and here's the results. If it's done properly, this is what it looks like with a stock hammer and thumbing, a direct hit, and rolling the gun from leather. Watch close. That's the draw. That's the complete draw. And that's the way you would shoot live ammunition. And if you're shooting a smaller target, you would slow that down. There are some people that claim to be fast with a 6-gun. And they'll use this particular draw, but understand this. If you are drawing the gun in this manner, you are not competitive with a real speedster. This is not the fastest way to shoot a gun, as you will see further on in the video. This is the way fast draw is thought of by most people. Some people have learned to shoot this method only, and only this method, and very efficiently. Still, it is not competitive to the real speed draw, for which I am most well known for, and we'll show you that later on through the tape, as I've already pointed out. But that is a decent draw, but that's the draw you use with a stock hammer, the thumbing method. Draw, you get out, and boom. Now, let's switch guns here and go to a modified gun, using the same draw but with a modified hammer. All right, this is the gun we've been shooting, the single action in a 5.5-inch barrel, and the key here is the stock hammer. This is the gun we were shooting with. Now, I'm going to switch over, continuing the same kind of a draw, the thumbing method, but I'm going to go to a modified hammer here. Now, if you'll see the difference there is indeed a difference between these two hammers. They're designed to do the same thing, but this hammer is modified a 1/2 inch above the frame, where this hammer is basically, the stock gun on my left hand here, is basically straight across the frame of the gun. This hammer is a 1/2 inch above the frame of the gun. Well, the obvious difference here is more hammer to hit to begin with. You can hit it easy. Now, the trick on this hammer is getting off of the hammer once you get it. You can get it easy. The trick is getting off of it. The trick on the stock hammer is getting onto it. Getting off of it is easy. So it's just the other way around. The two problems here you have to learn. So we'll put the stock gun down at this point, and we'll go to the other Colt with a modified hammer and put it through its paces and show you the advantages. Now, as I pointed out, now we're gone down to the shortest of the barrels allowed in competition. This is a 4 3/4 inch 45 Colt single action. This has a modified hammer 1/2 inch above the frame, and again the gun is cocked and fired. And again, I'm going to use the one-hand method called thumbing. Now, I'm going to approach this hammer from a different angle. It's going to be from the same holster and so on, but instead of coming forward and straight back to the hammer as I did with the stock hammer, I'm going to come from low. I'm tilting the thumb here at this angle. Now what I'm doing now is coming to an up position and pulling the hand. I'm going up to the hammer. Now I go up so I can in fact cock it, but at the same time pull off of the hammer, bringing it out on target and following. Now the advantage of the stock hammer is several things. Number one, I can go faster and get more momentum into getting the gun pulled from leather. So there's your advantage, coming from a low to superposition. Also, that thumb, once you instantly make contact with the hammer, you relax it, so it will in fact slide right over that modified hammer. And that's basically what it looks like in super speed. But it almost looks identical to the draw I just used, except the angle approach is different. Now, the advantages here also is for multiple shots. With this kind of a hammer, you can draw and shoot, and if you miss with the left hand, because of this modified hammer, it's easy to recover. You can really get some extra shots off in a hurry. That modified hammer is a big edge there. Of course, you can also fan this kind of a hammer as well. But putting that gun through its paces, you go one, you come down to the short angle, down low, come up high, get the hammer, come on to target and fire it. Well, let's fire it, and I'll show you two ways this hammer really comes to big edge. And we'll shoot it twice this time. I'll duplicate the draw I made with this gun, and then I'm going to speed one up for you using the same gun. So, got your ears on, we'll give it a try. Here's the draw. All right, there's your same clean draw right there. Draw, cock, and fire all in one motion. Almost looks like one motion. But in fact, you're doing three things and all at one time. Now, here's how you can doing that same draw. We're going to do something else here now. Instead of going through all the motion of pushing the gun forward, this is where fast draw really leaves the movies. The movies, we see everything that's going on. That draw that I just showed you is fast by the average person's comprehension. Well, let me show you the same draw, speed it up. And what I'll do here to achieve some more speed, and instead of drawing the gun and shoving it clear out here, I'm going to eliminate a lot of movement. And I'm going to take that gun, roll it, and fire it right over the top of that holster. Eliminate motion will gain me some speed, and that draw looks something like this. Let's give it a try. Okay? Now that's the draw, rolling it right over the top of the holster, and that's just about as fast as you can go using that particular method of fast draw. And the reason? There's a direct delay from the time you hit the hammer and cock it to the time you get out, get it level onto target, and trigger it. There's an action in there. It's just 1, 2, boom. And no matter how fast you do it, you go through that procedure. When you fan the gun, speed shoot it, as I'm going to do further on the tape, there is no delay whatsoever. The drawing, the cocking, the fanning, pulling the trigger, everything's done in one motion. These holsters are similar in appearance, both made by Gordon Davis Leather. And he is a great leather craftsman, good friend of mine. But he puts out a good product. And this holster, the primary difference is the height, the shortness of the skirt. The gun fits up higher instead of lower, like the thumbing position. It sets up higher. And I have a more radical forward degree slant. The angle is sharper, and the gun is higher. See, when I hang instead of being the hammer right at my watch, as the other gun was, it is now above the watch by about 2 inches, inch and 3/4. Well, that makes a big difference, because I bring this gun, I shoot very short motion with this gun and this holster. So this holster is the Buscadero, hangs low, the typical cowboy movie holster. That's what this is from, copying basically this particular holster here, my Thummin holster. And this is a modern speed rig of my own design. And I designed it for again, like the gun, I designed the holster for the way I shoot. And the way I shoot this gun, now we were talking about this hammer configuration and so on. Here's how this combination works. Instead of drawing and firing like so, like we did with the thumbing, we are now using a twisting and rolling motion. We take the gun and go this way. Instead of taking the gun and pulling it from leather, I take the draw and throw the holster off underneath the gun. Now all I do is just take the gun and go boom. And then you take the left hand coming across, you go just like this. What I'm doing is going just like this, boom. That's the way it's done. Boom, like so. And I'm keeping it very close to the holster, and the end result is like so. That's the end. It is actually an invisible motion. It's just, and you've got great power with it. So if you physically set up and pump up for it, you've got that power draw. And it becomes a very, very strong draw. Okay, and that's where, here's where it looks on a forward. The hand kind of covers the gun, but on a, there it is right there. If you go from the rear view, you'll see the twisting motion of the gun, but it's a power draw. All the power comes from all the way down from your heels all the way up across the back. And if you'll see the back muscles, all the back is involved. When you draw that gun, whap, there's a lot of torque, but it's a very short, crisp motion. It's kind of like a jab from here to there, very short and very powerful. And that's really what you're doing there.
Professional fast draw shooters like Bob Munden use a variety of guns, each with its own unique qualities and characteristics.
Well, you know, I shoot a variety of guns in my profession, and ranging from the single-action revolver to the double-action revolver to automatics, and I shoot rifles also. You know, and some of the finest guns in the country. Without question in my mind, I have the best guns made for tournament shooting today. There might be some that visually look a little superior, but in fact they're not. As an example, well, the gun that I'm using right here is a .45 caliber single-action revolver. Now this gun is a long Colt caliber. It is designed to shoot long Colt ammunition, and of course that's the only gun I shoot for speed. Now the reason is obvious. Now this is a .45 caliber gun. Now if that were a .38 caliber as an example, it'd be much heavier, because you have a small hole, the same outside dimension of the barrel, so the gun would be front heavy in a smaller caliber than .45. Even .44, you'd feel a big difference. But in .45, you got the biggest hole, the less steel, consequently you have the lightest gun. So that's why I use the .45 caliber in the single action for all my shooting, because of the weight factor, and of course in 4 3/4, which this is, why that is the best handling of the guns for any kind of purpose, whether it be speed from leather, quick of point of aim sight picture, or just plain spinning, or whatever you want to do with it. The gun really does handle well. That's the .45 Colt single action revolver right there. John Wayne used one just like it. If it's good enough for John, it's good enough for Bob. You know, the single action revolver, this is a Colt single action, and this gun is designed to hold 6 shots. It's got 6 empty chambers in it. But you know what? We have a rule. Here's 1, here's 2, here's 3, 4, and 5. And I leave the other chamber empty, and the hammer is down on the empty chamber. This is the safest way to carry a single action revolver, for if the gun is loaded 6 up, all 6 chambers loaded, if you should drop the gun and hits the hammer, it is possible for the gun to fire. A lot of accidents occurred because of that particular thing. But don't say nobody told you. Don't load that 6th chamber. Keep it empty and let the hammer down on the empty chamber. It's an ounce of prevention, a little bit of safety. It's been around since the Colt was begun, it was built, and that's been the cardinal rule. Keep it in mind. The empty chamber. Keep the hammer on the empty chamber.
Okay, what are you going to do here?
All right, what we're going to do is a little leather slap for you. We're going to draw, cock, and fire this gun using the thumbing method. And we're going to shoot the rectangle here. This is fast draw as we shoot it with live ammo. And I realize that target looks a little easy to hit, but I got news for you. Hip shooting it isn't. So what we're going to do here is draw, cock, and fire with a one-hand method. And using this angle here, we draw, cock the gun, get it out, get on target. The trigger goes into the trigger guard, and then fire the gun. All right, well, let's give it a try. On the other hand, now we've got other guns for different purposes, and if we're still talking single actions, boy, I've got a couple of Colts over here that are quite nice. You know, there's a 5.5 inches, one of my match pair right here. It's a very, very fine gun, highly tuned and set up to do it. In fact, this is the gun I split the playing card with for you in the excerpt with the playing card. And then, of course, the other gun, 40 single action, .45 caliber single action I have on the table here is a 7.5 inch Colt 6 gun. This gun was given to me by Sammy Davis Jr. He and I did the Mike Douglas show together, and the gun was acting up on him, and Sammy's a very, very generous person. I didn't realize. I heard about it. You see him doing things on TV, but in fact, he's one super fella. Not only is he a great entertainer, he's a great guy, and not because he gave me this gun, because he is a nice person. But he did say, hey, I don't have time to mess with it. If you'd like to have that gun, you can have it. Now I'm talking a very nice gun here. A .45 Colt single action. It's the same gun as in my holster, but look at the difference in the look of the gun simply because of the barrel alone. See, when the .45 Colt single action was first issued in the 1871s, it was issued to the U.S. Cavalry, and it was issued in 7.5 inch barrel, as you see it there. That's the way the gun first came out. Then they started cutting the barrels down in 5.5, as you see right there. This is what the cowboy of the Old West used. That was the common gun, the 5.5-inch barrel. But then a fellow by the name of Bat Masterson came along, who was a gun hand, well known at that. He was the first man to order a 4 3/4-inch 45 caliber single action. And it really picked up because it was short, it was out of the way, and very quick to put into use and so on, and it became famous because of Bat Masterson, basically speaking. He ordered the first one. And then, of course, other guns for other purposes. Well, we start talking sophisticated shooting. We've been talking fast draw, a little bit of the cowboy stuff, but there's all kinds of shooting out there. And another phase of my shooting business is shooting revolvers like the Bianchi Cup. When I shoot the Cup, I use a Ron Power Custom Grandmaster 38 PPC gun. This is the finest revolver in the world, bar none. There are other people that make guns similar, and they are virtually copies of what this really is, tops. And if you really want the top drawer gun, you've got to go to Ron and have him build it for you. And this particular piece that I have here is built on a Smith & Wesson frame, and it's a stainless steel Model 67. The guns are so accurate with the right ammunition, these guns will shoot in the same hole at 50 yards in a machine rest. That's no kidding. Well, we're going to do something a little different once again. We're going to step into another kind of shooting here. You know, all kinds of shooting's fun. I don't care if it's guns, it's got a trigger on it, it's fun. And right at this point, we're going to go into what we know as revolver shooting, and I'll be using, once again, the Power Custom revolver. The leather I'm using here is, of course, Gordon Davis leather out of Walnut, California. And, of course, this combination and everything we're going to put I'm shooting Federal 158 grain 38 special, semi-wide cutter ammunition at this point, factory loaded. And I'll be shooting a barricade for you, and we're going to go through, and I use, if you'll take notice, the cross draw. I like the cross draw, especially from a surrender position. A lot of the fellows that go the strong side, I prefer the cross draw because my hands go right to the dead center, and I put the grip right at the center. You know, so here, I just go right from here to the dead center, and the gun is out, and I'm in business. So I don't have to think about going strong or leaning to get the gun or anything. I can just go right from here, and the gun's out, and I'm ready to go. That's why it's sitting in this position. Okay, we're going to do a little barricade shoot. We're going to shoot off the barricade. The barricade will be used as the support. We cannot stand out of this area that's locked in here, so you have to lean. And what I'm going to do is I'll lean forward, lean up on the left hand, and punch the gun up, lock up, and shoot my targets. Put it all together, starting with the hands on. It looks something like this. Then we have another gun built on the same gun built by Ron Power. This particular one's built on a Ruger. Now this gun, a double action as well, all set up with the custom Ron Power sights. Now these sights are now put out by Wichita, but Ron Power designed them and sold the building rights to Wichita to produce the sight. But Ron Power designed the 4-placement sight system. You can preset these sights for 4 different sight settings all at the same time, 25, 50, 75, and 100 yards, and you just go from one sight setting to the next. Makes it very, very nice. And of course, you see the stapling on the back of the guns. That's for traction, grip on the gun, control of recoil. Then we go to the autos. Of course, the autos are really, these are the state of the art in reference to automatics. These are Jim Clark 45 caliber pin guns. The term pin gun, it's just a term nickname given to the gun because Jim Clark came up with the ingenious idea of building not only a 5-inch barrel, but a 6-inch barrel in a 45 automatic, eliminating a bushing, adding a weight up to the front, putting spring guide bars to keep the spring in alignment, right, left hand, ambidextrous safety. You can use the gun with either hand, right or left-handed. Ultra fine trigger pulls and super sights. This particular gun has a Wichita sight on it. The other piece, the mate to the gun, my original Jim Clark gun, of course, is set up with low-profile Bomars. These guns, believe it or not, shoot 1.25-inch groups at 50 yards in a machine rest with the right ammunition. And that's with Federal factory ammunition. These guns produce that kind of accuracy. They are fine guns, and so is Federal ammunition. A 45 automatic, a lot of people have the illusion you can't hit anything with this gun. Well, that's just not true. Some of the best guns in the world shoot the 45 caliber automatic, and they are indeed world champions, lots of them. But let me give you an idea on just how this gun can handle. If I can do my job, the gun certainly can. Let's give it a try. Let's shoot a little group out there on that rectangle, and let's see just how inaccurate this gun really is. And then the other gun, of course, I have here is a beautiful, we're in the process of making full house conversion. This is the finest 9mm pistol in the world, Browning. The Browning 9mm. This is the single action. This is a super, super fine gun. If you'll note this extra barrel I have here, we're in the process of setting this up. Full compensator, cylinder and slide is going to be doing the work. They're over in Nebraska, and they're going to be doing the work for me on this gun. It'll have ambidextrous safeties, weight compensators, the whole thing. That you talk about firepower, how about 14 rounds? Load up on Sunday and shoot all week. You don't have to be real good to use a gun like this. Really, the gun does it for you. But at any rate, this is a fine, fine piece, and if you're serious about guns, you like the caliber of 9mm, you got to go with Browning. It's really the top of the line. Fine gun. And I do other kinds of shooting. You know, I use rifles as well. My Browning rifles. This is a 44 lever action, 44 mag. It's a beautiful, beautiful gun. And a little later on, I'll demonstrate just how accurate this gun is. I'll split a playing card with it for you. A couple other things we can think of, but it's a super gun. And here's the same gun in a .357 caliber. And again, we're talking Browning here, top of the line of gun. This is a reproduction of the original '92 Winchester. And Browning has reproduced the gun, absolutely a dead ringer copy of the gun they produced originally, Winchester did. And, you know, Browning designed many of the guns that Winchester and other companies actually produced. Browning himself actually created them. He engineered, he put them on paper. He was a great, great master at engineering and creating fine guns, and this is one of the greatest guns he ever promoted, ever put together, ever invented. Yes, sir. Really a nice piece. And then, of course, we're going to go one more step here. You know, I hunt all over the world with a handgun. I've killed everything in North America with a handgun. And I use this Smith 44. And it's an 8 3/8 Smith & Wesson, Model 29, 44 mag. Now, I do everything. As you saw on my show, I split playing cards with it, but you can shoot great distances. And I hunt all the most dangerous game I can find with it. It's a good caliber, a fine gun, and that's what I use this gun for. It's my hunting gun. I carry it with me on a cross draw all over this world. And a nice piece. That's a lot of gun. You know, the movie Dirty Harry with Clint Eastwood and all the subsequent movies that came from it, why, that's the gun he carried. His was blue and a 6-inch. We're going to do something special for you. You've many years over the period of time, why exhibition shooters in the past have done a little thing called card splitting. 99% of the time, with rare exception, they're doing this splitting with rifles, 22s, whatever. Well, I'm going to do the same thing for you, or at least try. And we're going to take this playing card, and we're going to mount it in the cardboard here. And the object of this card splitting is to not just hit the card as you're looking at it now, but to take the card and turn it this way. Now, in reality, I'm looking, what you see through the camera now is what I'll be seeing through the gun sights. And I'll be looking this way, and my target virtually is the edge of this card, like splitting a knife or cutting a knife blade. And that's what I'm looking at, right? There is my target right there. Now, what we'll do is take this card, we put a little slot in the cardboard here, and we'll mount the card right on the board. We'll step off back this way, and we'll shoot, splitting the card in this manner. Now, I'll do something very unusual. As I said, people have been able to do this over the years, but I'm going to make a little different here. I'm going to do this with a 44 Magnum. Now, in fact, I'll be using a Smith 29. I'll be using a 44 mag Smith 29, 8 3/8 barrel. I'll be shooting iron sights, of course, and I'll be shooting full house Federal 240 JHP ammunition to do this with. I'm not using BB gun loads, light loads. I'm shooting full house Magnum ammunition. All right, and that makes it interesting because now I know that when I touch this thing off, it's going to recoil violently. So knowing that's coming, you still have to maintain control and split that card. Makes for a little head work. Let's give it a try. Oh, if you take a look here at the slot, there's the slot that the card was sitting in. If you'll take a note, that hole is absolutely dead center of the slot. It's not left or right. You could have hit that with a 22, a BB, or anything, because it was right, absolutely perfect in the middle. I got lucky that shot. And of course the card is still laying here. Here it is, right here on the ground. There it is. And you'll take note that the part of the card that's missing is exactly the width of the card, or the hole. Put that hole together, and there's the width of the bullet, 44 mag bullet, right down the middle. Okay, let's do it one more time, and let's add a little dimension to that. Now, that was difficult enough indeed, especially with a high-powered rifle or pistol like the 44 mag. But now we're going to do it again. Now we're using a 7 of diamonds. That was a 6 of diamonds. Ironically, it came out of the deck this way. But what we're going to do here, we'll set the card in a different angle. The same thing, but our sight picture is going to demand a little different sight picture. We're going to take this card now, we're going to put it on the horizontal. This is far more difficult. You know, the other way, you're shooting with the length of the card. You can be a little leeway here, left or right. But you know what? You don't get leeway or straight up and down, and leeway left and right here is difficult. Now I have to hit that card right on the edge on the Now what happens here is when I sight this thing, the card virtually disappears behind the sight. It just disappears. I have to sight right in on that little blade. So the sight picture that you're going to see looking at the camera, I'll be shooting at this angle and I'll be shooting for this line. Of course, I back up there 30 feet, and of course we're shooting at this target right here. That's our target. Right there. Not much. But I think we got enough to pull it off. Let's give it a try. Here we are, we're mounted up. Let's get back there and try and cut that edge on the horizontal. By the way, it's never been done before. Let's give it a try. Well, let's give it a try. This is the tough one. Really tough. Got it? Okay, you know what? I won't even... All right.
Yeah, talk to me.
All right, we got a dead center hit. Took a couple of shots at it. What I'll do is, just so you can get a look, what we'll do is tape off the mess up there, and so you can get a good look and be able to see the hole. Again, we're dead center of the dead line. We're right across the dead center, and here's remaining of the card. Half of the card is stuck right here in the board. There it is, right there. Right there. And, yeah, by golly, it's still 7 of diamonds. Look at there. And, of course, the other part of it's down here on the ground, I believe. Somewhere down here. Oh, yeah, here you go. That one took off. Well, there it is. There's the combination right there. The other part of it's still stuck in the board, right there. Pull that baby out, and there's the combination right there. And again, we have a dead center hit. Cut right across the width of the diamond, the width of the .44 bullet. And of course, we were shooting at this angle. Makes it far more difficult. But we pulled it off for you, and that was done with the full .44 mag using full house ammunition. When you get bored with shooting, try this sometime. That'll keep you occupied. And one more gun that's kind of unique and different is this limited edition gun that I'm putting out. And that's this gun right here, and it comes in that little coffin. And that's solid oak, and inside the box is my limited edition of 100 only 45 caliber single action revolver. And what it is a dead ringer copy, with the exception of the hammer and the ivory, of my own personal shooting gun. And I am building each and every one of these particular guns, and there's only going to be 100 of them. And I'd like to think somewhere down the line, a few years from now, they'll be worth a lot of money. I hope they are. And I hope those who buy them enjoy them as much as I've had making them. But there's a quick rundown on just some of the guns that I use in my profession. If you'll take notice here, my single actions, this particular single action, the hammer modification you'll see is what we call a straight up, a thumb and hammer. It is modified, 1/4 of an inch over stock. Competition fast gun rules say you can modify a hammer any way you want, but cannot be more than a 1/2 inch above the frame. Well, that's what this hammer goes with, is all those rules that have been in existence for years, because otherwise you've got a free-for-all. Everybody's modifying guns to no limitations whatsoever, and you get a real crazy limitation of none. Right here, these guns, now here's another 45 single. This is my speed gun. If you'll take note on that hammer, the configuration on that hammer is radically different than anything else you've ever seen, I'm sure. And in all of fast draw, I'm the only person to ever use such a hammer. And what I did is I took the same concept as a hammer of this nature and just bent it over. Instead of just bending this over, I built the hammer over there and I moved it up closer. So we're shooting flush up, just like so. And what that does, that allows me to make contact much quicker. It doesn't make me shoot faster, but I am making contact with the gun quicker. Now the question is, can I clear leather before the gun goes off? And that's why I really got to power that gun fast from leather, to beat that gun going off. Keeps me honest. I got to hustle or blow my holster up.
Bob and his wife Becky travel thousands of miles every year, where they both compete in professional tournaments.
Well, I like the idea of women in shooting sports. I think it's very important to shooting sports to have women there, and they ought to encourage it and go out of their way to invite women to come out and shoot, because it softens the image of shooting and guns in general.
Bob Munden has appeared on dozens of television shows, seen throughout the country.
Here since Dave Brinkers went a looking for the gunslinger, and we're sorry to say he found him at the saloon in Old Cowtown.
Bob Munden is my name. I'm from Butte, Montana, and shooting guns is my business.
Munden does with a gun what Picasso did with a paintbrush. Betsy Ross did with a needle, only he does it fast. So fast that we have to show you the draw in slow motion. He holds 18 world speed records in fast draw. Better styrofoam than Waterford crystal. 2 innocent balloons are felled with not one shot. It took 2. You just weren't quick enough. He was. You've heard of Billy the Kid? Well, I'm Davy the Dude from out east. I hear you got the fastest gun that ever lived in this town. I'll find him. You're Bob Munden, fastest gun that ever lived.
You got it.
I'm Dave Brinkers, fastest gun on the East Coast. Lucky for you, I ain't packing one right now.
You are now.
Mister, I'm afraid your luck just ran out.
Well, you got 2 ways of leaving here, your way or mine.
Let's try my way. Draw. Dang, I guess he is the fastest. Dave, the Dude Brinkers, KSN News.
In the Old West, the most feared man was the fella with the fastest draw. To show you what we mean, we have the fastest man with a gun who ever lived. Here from the Guinness Book of Records, and it was a real chore getting him out of there, is Bob Munden.
But most of all, Bob Munden is an entertainer, and he enjoys sharing his craft with audiences everywhere.
She's still not happy with that at all. The time, I don't know why, it's a 35/100ths of 1 second. A little over 3.5 of a second. To realize the light was on, go for the gun, cock it, level it, and fire it. You were surprised, weren't you? Well, you know what? You said that last year when you won this thing, too. At any rate, you know, a lot of folks, you know, that's not bad at all, but her world record doing this with a target, you'll find it listed in the Guinness Book, is a 27/100ths of 1 second, or about 800ths of a second faster than that. As you can see, we have no arguments at our house at all. Give her a hand. Not too bad. What do you think? And I can assure you, I give her 2 or 3 tries at this, and she'll shave off a little more each time. But what do you say we move up one more notch? And now introduce you to the realm of virtually the fastest thing known to man, with the exception of the speed of light, which is far beyond it, and I'm referring to fast draw as I shoot it today at its very highest level. Now at this point, I too will change methods of draw. In fact, I will join Becky what she was doing for you. She was using 2 hands to draw, cock, and fire her single-action revolver. This method of draw is called fanning. Now we discovered years ago that this is the more efficient way to achieve real speed, as you've already sampled. Now what takes place here is the right hand moves first in this 2-hand draw. We do not touch the gun prior to the draw. It is illegal to do so in tournament competition. Now the right hand will grab the gun, pull the trigger, bring the gun out. The left hand will then come across, cock the hammer, firing the gun. Now doing just that, putting it all together with maximum speed, that draw looks something like this. Now watch me go through all of those motions and compare this with anything that you can think of in regards to speed. And I do mean anything. And ladies and gentlemen, watch very close. For what you're about to see at this moment, you simply may not believe. Now keep in mind that the holster does not move, swivel, or open up in any manner. In fact, there are not 1 but 2 tie downs on the holster to keep it quite secure. There are no spring devices like clamshells, etc. inside the holster either. The guns that my wife and I are using up here are indeed real guns. They are .45 caliber Colt single-action revolvers. They weigh a little over 2¼ pounds. And we do indeed shoot lots of live ammunition through these guns throughout the year. We don't hit much, but we shoot a lot of ammo through it. But for obvious reasons, we are using blanks here. Well, let's give it a try. I'll do the best that I can.
From the Guinness Book of World Records, Mr. Bob Munden. I know what you're thinking. Come on, he didn't even get that gun out of the holster. We like to show in our own way that he truly did. You just missed 1 or 2 of those steps. To prove the point, he will use a styrofoam cup. He will put this cup on the back of the hand that is now firing the gun. He's cocking the gun with the left hand. It's called fanning. When he goes for the gun with that hand to cock the hammer back so the gun will fire, the cup drops. The object draw and fire before the cup has a chance to hit the ground. That would be normal procedure. But Bob likes to speed things up. I found that out on our first date. So what he's going to attempt to do for you here is to try and draw and shoot before the cup has a chance to drop.
Now I know there's a yo-yo or two out there that actually have it in their mind that I'm going to stick that cup up there and give it one of these. Man, you've got to be kidding. That is the only left hand I've got. I'm not about to go shooting holes in them for laughs. And if this is what you had in your mind, you were not paying attention. The hand that is now holding the cup is the same hand that will cock and fire the gun. See, you were not paying attention. Am I going to throw the cup in the air? Well, let me show you just how fast I would have to draw the gun if I were to throw the cup in the air, even a little bit. Watch this. Wasn't that sudden? I just about ripped the grips right off the gun on that one. Well, needless to say, I'm not going to throw the cup in the air. A little obvious, isn't it? Is it coming out of the holster? Well, let's find out. There's only one way to hit that cup, and that's to draw the gun and fire it, wouldn't you say? Let's give it a try.
That's humor in here. I want you all to watch that cup real close. But he doesn't do it all the time. Coming out of the holster, isn't it? You bet it is. What about control of any kind? I mean, how can he possibly maintain enough control at this incredible speed to hit a target? Well, we'll put up a balloon target. He'll stand close. We're shooting blanks right now. The unburnt powder has to reach that balloon to break it. But this will tell us if he can maintain control. Wide open speed shooting from the holster. Name of the game, fast. As fast as you can move. It's a lot of fun. Don't ever try fast or like this with live ammunition, okay? Just a word of advice there. But how fast is the draw? Why is it you can't see it like you can in the Western movies? We'd like to explain that for you by timing it on the clock, just the draw itself. The way we'll do this, Bob will put his gun hand on the button that actually works the timer. When he presses a button down, it will set it. When he releases that button to go for the gun, the clock will start. And when he fires it, the sound is what stops the clock. This will tell us just how fast he's actually moving his 2 hands to draw and fire this .45 single action. Let's see why Bob has won all his championships and is recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records as the fastest man with a gun who ever lived.
Now, as a comparison, before I make this particular draw, keep in mind that Dylan of Gunsmoke, for years we've watched him draw and fire his gun. When he did, he averaged between 8 to 8.5 tenths of 1 second to do so. That's right here at the 80, where my finger is now on the timer, at the 80. The clock is now standing at 55, a little over. We'll call it a 55. That is 5.5 tenths of 1 second. Jerry Lewis, Sammy Davis Jr., the very best among movie stars of all time, in their prime and best years were quite consistent between 4 to 4.5 tenths of a second. or at the 40, where my hand is now, at the 4-0. It takes you 15 hundredths of 1 second. That's between 0 and the 10 and the 20 here, simply to blink your eye. That's as fast as you can go, that is if you're human. Look at that, 500 people blinking their eyes. Feel the breeze? Well, we're going to show you why you cannot see this. It is truly happening much faster than we humans really can see. You will never see this kind of a draw in a Western movie either. It is simply too fast. Unbelievable on film, and for good reason. But if you were to ask me how fast I can draw this gun, or many people do, I find telling them with words to be quite difficult, if not impossible. For we are truly dealing within a time element here that you're simply not familiar with. Prior to this show, in your mind, 1 second was fast. Let me try to show you just how slow 1 second really is. Now keep in mind that 1 second is one time all the way around the face of that timer right there. 1001. There it is, 1001. Well, let's see where the clock stops this time, and then we'll do something very special. But let's get this out of the way first.
Elapsed time on the clock, just for the draw itself, is 4 100ths of 1 second, and you wondered why you couldn't see it.
Shooting guns is my living. That's all I do. The show, I have 2 shows. The show I shoot the least of is my live ammunition show, because the facility's necessary. You've got to be up against the hillside to some degree. You can shoot on the flat in some of the things I do, but you've got to be at a gun range no matter what. And there just aren't that many sponsors that'll bring you in and pay that kind of money to have you way out there in the North 40. On the other hand, my stage show can be used, brother, I do all kinds of car dealers, shopping malls, fairs, amusement parks, conventions, just every kind of area you can imagine for entertainment. We cover it. We've worked in prestigious places like Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm, you know, Radio City Music Hall, New York City, the Steel Pier in Atlantic City, you know, the Six Flags, Mid-America, some of their amusement parks, some of the greatest amusement parks in this country. We've been overseas, entertaining in Europe, like England. We've entertained the Paul Daniels Show in England, which was syndicated and sent all over the world in the European nation. We also did shows in New Zealand, and we have other places we'd like to go, but because of their no-gun policy, why it's been very difficult to get in there. When I say no guns, even though they don't, like Japan's very difficult to get over there with a gun because of their, you know, you got to come up with special equipment and guns and whatever, because they flat no guns there. Of course, we make a lot of guns there, but they make them, produce them, put them together, and send them back to us. But there are no guns allowed in the country of Japan. You know, we do not think of the single action as a rapid-fire gun, primarily because, as you know and knew before you got here, that the single action must be cocked first every time for every shot with no exception. Well, I thought it would be of interest to you to see just how fast the old single action really is, for let's say a couple of shots anyway. So what we've done here is set up 2 targets. Now what I'll do here is load this gun with 2 shots. Now what I'll do is draw the gun once. Wasn't that cute? I'll cock it, which I must do. Come over, fire, hit the first balloon, or at least try. Cock it again, come over, fire, hit the second balloon, and do that as quickly as possible. I must cock and fire the gun twice with no exception. 1, 2. I cannot simply pull the trigger. The gun cannot be fired this way. Now, because of the Western movie, I just presume that we're going to draw the gun once, bring it out, and fan it twice like so. Bang, bang. You have been watching too many Western movies. I might suggest that you listen quite closely. Now, to keep this on the up and up, and we certainly want to do that, if I may, I'd like to have a couple of the fellows here right in front here, if they will. Fellow here with the glasses, leaning over, the kind who's right in the pink shirt. Maybe you can join him. Come on over here. No hat on. Come over here. Boy, you ain't got much on, let alone hat. I ain't making fun of you.
It's just skin.
Yeah, it's all right. It's good skin. That's all right. How you doing? Bob Munden. Stand right over here. Now, they're not going to be my targets.
Thank you.
No, they're going to be your eyes. They're going to verify that there are only 2 shots in this gun before we get started. When I'm through shooting, they will verify that I've done my job right or wrong. And if I mess this up, and I've been known to do so, we'll just load up and try it again.
I will show him the gun, first of all, to make sure it is empty. It is capable of holding 6 shots, as we all know. That's why they call it a 6-shooter. Right now, there's nothing in it. Then he's showing him 2 unfired blanks. You can tell they have not been fired because the primers are not dented, and you can see the paper wads holding the black powder in. That's what makes up a blank. After he fires the 2 shots, we'll have them recheck the gun to make sure that everything's really legit. The unburnt powder is what reaches the balloons to break them.
Now, I realize I'm going through a lot of red tape on this, but for very good reason. Gentlemen, there are 2 shots in this gun, right? Absolutely. Now, for your information, 1 shot will not and cannot get both targets. I will have to shoot 2 shots, 1 for each target. But I must confess, if I do this right, I absolutely guarantee most of you will walk out of here saying, oh, there's a trick. On the other hand, if I mess it up, those same folks will walk out of here saying, oh, he ain't much.
Please check the gun and ammunition. Make sure both rounds have been fired.
Hold them, please.
They have been fired. They're
Hot and
hot
fired?
and smoking, and the gun is empty. If you don't believe that, you talk to those 2 guys after the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks
2
a lot.
shots with an old-fashioned single-action revolver.
I've been building guns all my life, to a certain extent. I'm not the, you know, I don't do the things that a Ron Power or Jim Clark would do as an example. I know how. Those people specialize in full house machinery. When I say that, I mean they actually create, especially Ron Power, a great engineer, a great, great gunsmith in that regard. Jim Clark is by no means no slouch. They're just 2 peas in a pod, the last of a breed of cat that from the old school, you know. Jim Clark, 30 years been shooting high-level NRA pistol. He is very well known in the shooting fraternity. Ron Power, the same. Ron Power invented the PPC gun. Jim Clark invented the pin gun, the 45 auto pin gun for shooting those bowling pins down and so on. Those innovations would have virtually, you know, the PPC gun virtually took over precision shooting in police combat and the gamesmanship of that type. It just dominated. Of course, there are different variations made by other people now, but Ron Power created them. He invented the idea of them. And then, of course, Jim Clark invented the pin gun, which revolutionized auto shooting. You know, these guys are some of the greatest gunsmiths of all time. They've made some innovations that have changed shooting forever. You know, they're real masters. But my end of it as a gunsmith is I'm a master gunsmith, especially in the world of single action work, because of course single action is what I shoot the most of. And in the process of learning to shoot them and shooting them, and when they broke down, trying to find somebody out there to fix my gun wasn't easy, a specialized item. It's like owning a Ferrari and breaking down. Who's going to fix? Who do you know fixes Ferraris? I don't know anybody right at the moment. But they're special, and these guns are too, especially the way we set them up. What people do not understand is you cannot use a stock gun for what we do, simply because they're not designed for it. They're designed to cock slowly, aim, and shoot. And guns of the Old West, this is why fast draw never happened, because their guns and holsters weren't designed for it. They couldn't do it because the gun just wouldn't allow it. You cock a gun hurry, you grab that gun from leather, you pull that gun hard from leather and cock it hard like we're doing out there. For that gun being set up for, there's no way in the world it'll function. It'll just skip, tear out the locks, shear off the bolts, and so on, because it just isn't put together for the purpose. And they did not have the ability or the know-how to make such conversions necessary. And the holsters were designed to keep a gun securely so you wouldn't lose it. So you're not going to draw a gun fast from such a secure holster. So these are like 2 reasons alone why fast draw never happened. So when my guns would break down, I'd say, okay, it broke down. Why? And how can I prevent it from happening again? See, the engineers at Colt didn't have to look at a gun like that because the average Joe was cocking them, aiming, and shooting. That's all they were doing with them. But now you're talking sophisticated speed beyond comprehension, super speed. The guns aren't designed for it, so they have to be modified. So I've learned to modify those guns at a real high level. Of course, when I speed shoot, you pull the trigger first, and then you hit the hammer and fire it. When you're thumbing a gun with one hand, you hit the hammer first, and then pull the trigger later when you get out. You go completely one extreme to the other. So you have, and quite often when I do the show that I do, I'm using all these variations of guns, and boy, you really got to be thinking about it. You think, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that, you know, and you really got to be thinking about it. But the guns are definitely modified for the purpose for which they're a race car for racing. They're not gimmicked. They're just much stronger than a stock gun. Basically, that's what the real thing is about these guns. They're much stronger, and they're designed to use much easier.
Okay. That's the improvement of the semi-automatic pistol. Might use in the Army. It's 45, by the way. The auto can shoot even faster than that. Semi-automatic pistol.
What you just saw there was a rapid-fire feat that we'll do for you here for close-up. And keep in mind the firepower that I was putting out there with this 45 auto was better than that of an Uzi 45 caliber, which is 550 rounds a minute. All right, here it is, a close-up of the same thing. Let's get the gun out and do a little rapid-fire sequence for you. can't hit much doing that, but you sure scare the hell out of them, I'll tell you that. At any rate. But you know, that's just one, those are just a variety. That gives you an idea on how them guns work. But there are other ways of shooting these various guns. You know, if we go back, you know, I mean, it really doesn't make any difference what kind of guy shoots. They're all fun.
Okay, Bob, choose a gun. Let's have some fun.
Okay.
He's picking up a Colt 45 single action here. Bob is featured in the Guns Magazine issue, June edition. If you haven't seen it, we're very proud of it. He's also featuring a limited edition of 100 copies of his gun he's using in Fast Draw today, right here. I don't know, you talk about later. Trying to fill in time, you see. Okay. Oh, here's one way to shoot a gun. Upside down. Anybody can shoot it right side up. Okay. How about sideways? Left-handed. Oh, left-handed. Okay. I could do that.
Now you don't try this with a 44 mag.
Upside down between the legs, okay?
All right.
This is Federal Factory Ammunition, 45 long Colt. Now he's going into the double action revolver, shooting 38s. The Ron Power revolver here. With a target barrel. Okay, let's try something with the mirror. Bob, now's not the time to fix your hair. Oh, he's going to look through the mirror. Okay. He's going to sight backwards, looking through, using a mirror to sight. Bottom right clay pigeon. In the mirror, it was the bottom right, I guess.
Now the object, this is a promo, that was a little bit of, I've never tried that before. You know, what I'm doing is, I did that to demonstrate the capability of the Browning lever action. You know, and the fact that I can shoot a rifle, I guess, there's no secret to being good at anything other than practice and maybe having a little bit of a physical ability for what you can do. I mean, you know, we start talking basketball, you talk about Jordan, you know, how do you get like he does? Well, he has attributes going for him, you know. The guy jumps in the air, he doesn't never come down. He just stays up there and shoots baskets, you know. And when he gets tired, he comes down and goes home, you know. I mean, Air Jordan. So he's got a few things going for him. Then he's got the drive, the interest, the want to be number one, to be very, very good at what he does. It's very difficult for a champion to explain to somebody that is not a champion what it takes to be a champion. They can't comprehend. They do not think as we do. We are a different breed of cat. We're not better, we're just different. And there is a difference there. And it's very simple to say, hey, I'm just here for the fun. I mean, the goal is to just play. The goal is to win. Graveyards are full of second place. I've won 3,500 trophies, 800 major championships, and hold 18 world records in my game. And I do win things other than that from time to time, sporadically, different kind of shooting. And what I've won, it means the most to me, that goes way back. I mean, I've won a lot of stuff that's very, very, very... We have in our speed shooting game in Southern California, or California in general, the fastest guns in the business live here, always have. And the reason for that, of course, is weather. Lots of competition, very active in the area in this sport. I guess the Triple Crown would be the thing that I've done. We have a California State Championship, the Northern California State Championship, the Southern California State Championship, and I'm the only person to have ever won that Triple Crown all the same year, all 3 titles in the same year, and I've done it 7 times.
Wow.
And no one else ever done it once. Nobody has ever won all 3. And I've won all 3 7 times. Now what I'm going to do with this ring, I'm going to put a piece of tape right over the hole. And then I'm gonna take it, you know, I'm gonna take the ring, I'm gonna throw it like that. Look at me go, oh, that was my diamond. No, it was mine. That's mine. Here's yours right here. No, I'm not going to throw it in there and do anything like that. I'm going to use this. What I will try to do for you, looking through the prism of a diamond ring, I'll try and take out one of those clay pigeons for you, shooting in reverse and shooting a clay pigeon, sighting in reverse like a mirror through the prism of through this diamond through one of the prisms.
Okay, he's using a Jim Clark 45 auto for this. Shooting at one of the clay pigeons. He's not giving us a hint this time. At the bottom. Ooh, right to the left. Thank you very much, ma'am, for the use of the ring. It was gorgeous. We got 4. All right, we got 4 clay pigeons left, and you can't stand to see them all together, unbroken. So he's going to try to disperse of them using something. Which gun? Okay, he's going to use his Colt 45 7.5. Worth a try.
In this tape, you saw me shoot those 2 shots. And right off the top of your head, you say, no, come on, that didn't happen. Okay, it did happen. How do you do that? And that's a fair question. So let me try to answer it for you. First of all, there are variations of that. And you can do more than 2 shots. But I discovered years ago that 2 shots are hard enough to believe, let alone 3, maybe 6. You say, what are you talking, 6? Oh, yeah, we'll get further into that later. But right now, talking 2. All right, when I pull that off, what I'm doing here is when I go for that gun, I grab the gun, pull the trigger, bring the gun out, and the thumb and the little finger are, in fact, firing the 2 shots in one sweep of the hand. I must maintain the pull. I do pull the trigger. I pull the trigger once, then I come across the thumb, cock and fire the first shot, and the little finger cocks and fires the second shot. You put that all together, and that's what you get, 2 shots. Of course, you don't see anything with fire, but then you didn't see anything when I did fire, did you? So the results are the same.
Let's do that again.
Yeah, we just come across like that, and that was it. There's 2 shots. So if you slow it down, it's 1, 2. You speed it up, there it is. There's 2 shots. And yes, the cylinder's indexed. And everything's right. But it's just something that it just cannot visually be seen. Now, I could have done it another way. You could come out and with one hand, draw the gun, come out and get on touch. Now, that was not as fast, but that is what we call slip thumbing. That's slip thumb. You pull the trigger and thumb it for the second shot. And that's what it looks like. All right, now it was 3 shots. You say, what do you mean 3 shots? I said, yeah, that was 3. What I do is I come out here, I come on out, and I go 1, 2, 3. Right there, you put it all together. That's what it looks like, right there. All right, we just fired 3 shots for you in a very unique manner, but let's do something a little special. Another 3-shot system using the same single action. Now I'm going to draw the gun once, fire it 3 times, 3 different ways, all in one motion. Here's how we'll do it. I'll draw the gun, cock the hammer, and fire the gun like so. I will turn the gun over, hit the holster, and fire, cock and fire the gun for the second shot. Now I will continue the motion, come up and fan the gun for the 3rd shot. Putting them all together, it looks something like this. Watch close. What do you say we go 1 step? This is crazy. You're not going to believe this. Bring the gun out, cock it, come out, and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you say, now wait a minute. That's right. It looks like this. There it is, 6 shots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can't hit nothing doing that, but you sure scare the heck out of them. The one thing you never see me do in a show, very rarely, is a little thing called gun spinning. I don't do it because it isn't part of my show. And I'm not very good at it, actually. But it is something I know how to do. I just don't mess with it. Cock it like that, and so on and so forth. Give it a little roll here, a little underneath there. And you take it and throw it back in the holster like that. draw it out like that, throw it back in the holster like that. Come underneath the holster, come up, back, and around, like that. And then you take it and face the camera this way, and swing over here, cock and fire that way, and back in the holster. But I don't like to do that kind of stuff, because I'm not really good at it. But it's you know, something I do know how to do. You ever take a gun like this and take it and hold the gun in your hand this way and rotate it and cock it that way? It looks simple, doesn't it? Try that sometime. You think that's difficult? Put the gun back in your hand, cock it like that. It looks difficult. It is. But it is something I don't do very often because I'm not very good at it. This is very, very risky for me.
Yeah.
The most dangerous thing I do, right here. Okay, first shot, first hit. Ready? Second shot, second hit. Third shot, third hit. Okay? What I want to try to do is I'll take this card, spin it in the air like so, boom, and then try to split that card in flight. Get the groove.
Yeah.
I hit 4 in a row.
He sure did.
Hit 4 in a row, and I split that one. That's the one. I didn't split it plumb clean through. We got it split. And I'll guarantee you'll not see anybody do that. Look at there. And this one we split. This is the one on edge.
That's 4 shots, 4 hits.
4 shots, 4 hits, splitting one. And not quite all the way through, but you know, even the curvature of the card will eliminate the split through. But that is a split card.
Wow. Now tell me a little bit about that speed. Has it ever been done before?
No, it's never been done with any kind of a gun in history. Rifle, pistol, and needless to say, no shotgun as well, simply because you're talking buckshot. But with a projectile of any kind, it's never been done before. It's been tried, but it's never been done. But I guarantee, see, those cards are turning. If you'll take a look at those impacts of those bullets, the bullets are hitting there sideways. They're kind of punching those holes, kind of like this. That means the card's tipping just a little bit. So you're dealing with here just a very, very different kind of an angle. It may take much to slip a bullet and make a hole. But if you're talking hit, now if it does done right, we cracked that one right on the edge. Now that card still tipped just a touch. Didn't allow the bullet to go quite through the air, but we're talking of card in flight. Nevertheless, I'll settle for that. At any rate, we'd like to say thank you most sincerely for watching the show. We hope you've enjoyed it. You know, for those of you who have come to visit and watch the show and watch the shooting that's going on, we would like to say this to you. Shooting guns is a great source of fun and recreation for us, and it can be for you as well. Guns are indeed a great sport. Not everything and everything you hear about guns is true, but they are indeed fun, and that is true.
the great, the very best. What separates the good shooters from the very best? What makes a national champion? A repeat winner? A shooter who pulls it all together consistently to be in the running almost every time he or she steps to the line? Hello, I'm Lenny McGill. Over the past 10 years, I've shot, attended, and videotaped hundreds of stages of fire. More importantly, I've watched literally thousands of hours of videotape of the best IPSC shooters to ever live. I've talked with and interviewed the world's greatest competition shooters, and I've come to the realization that IPSC competition shooting is not a sport of seconds, but fractions of a second. Now, I know that may sound like a cliche, but hear me out. The top shooters in the sport do everything a little bit faster, a little bit more accurately, with a little bit less movement than the rest of the pack. And when you extrapolate that over 3, 5, or 12 stages of fire, what you get is a rather large difference. The purpose of this video is to point out and illustrate the techniques that are used by the world's greatest shooters as they go through various stages of fire.
Stand by.
Assisting me in this effort is Brian Enos, a top competition shooter in his own right, but more importantly, a student of the sport of IPSC. Enos has trained side by side with other top shooters, including Rob Latham and Doug Koenig. He'll help analyze some of the footage you'll see of the world's best shooters. And speaking of these shooters, in this program, we'll look at and analyze the techniques and styles of Rob Latham, USPSA Nationals champion, World IPSC champion, NRA Bianchi Cup winner, overall one of the greatest shooters to ever live. Jerry Barnhart, USPSA Nationals champion, Steel Challenge champion, World's Shoot-Off champion, and one of the winningest shooters over the past 8 years. Doug Koenig, IPSC World champion, NRA Bianchi Cup champion, and Masters 3-gun champion. Matt McLaren, USPSA's national champion and World IPSC champion. Todd Jarrett, USPSA Nationals champion. And Kippy Boykin, USPSA Women's champion, along with many other shooters who have helped make this program possible. We'll look at and analyze the top shooters and find out what they do, how they do it, and why they do it. Welcome to IPSC Secrets. John Bianchi is the most recognized personality in the firearms industry. Known internationally as the father of the modern holster and the master of concealment, John Bianchi is responsible for the design and production of an incredible 20 million holsters, belts, and accessories during his 40-year career. In the early 1950s, John Bianchi started as a police officer, making holsters in his garage. His business expanded rapidly, and by the mid-1970s, Bianchi International had grown to be the industry leader, occupying the 60,000 square foot facility in Temecula, California. John Bianchi's numerous achievements include authoring the industry bestseller, Blue Steel and Gun Leather, creating an international pistol shooting competition, the Bianchi Cup, as well as over 200 patents, trademarks, and copyrights. His holsters were used in virtually all Hollywood movie productions from the mid-1960s. But perhaps his most important contribution is the design, development, and manufacture of the M12 military holster, currently in use by the United States and NATO forces worldwide. John Bianchi sold Bianchi International in 1989 and now personally handcrafts custom Western gun belts that are considered to be works of art that are truly becoming collector's items. These are available through his new custom shop, Frontier Gun Leather. This program is Volume 3 of a 3-part series featuring the artistry and secrets of advanced Western holster making. John Bianchi shares with you more than 40 years of experience in working with leather, tools, and supplies to make the highest quality holsters and belts in the world. The information you're about to see can be applied to all leather-making projects with particular emphasis on holsters and belts. Now, here's John Bianchi. Cowboy action shooting has grown dramatically in the past 15 years. Started by a group of competition shooters who became disenchanted with the equipment race of IPSC competition, the Wild Bunch, as they are known, formulated a shooting sport that emphasized friendly competition, shooting skill, cowboy-era firearms, and authentic clothing. The first end-of-trail competition in 1980 attracted just 72 shooters. But by 1995, more than 325 competitors from all over the world and over 10,000 spectators enjoyed this 3-day event. The governing body for cowboy action shooting competition is SAS, which stands for Single Action Shooting Society. They have close to 10,000 members in every state of the Union, plus 11 foreign countries. For more information on membership and competition, contact SAS at the address on your television screen.
We'll go again.
Larry Cohen, a.k.a. the Durango Kid, is an accomplished cowboy action shooter. With roots in Steel Challenge speed competition and IPSC-style shooting, he made a natural transition to the cowboy action sport. He won the End of Trail Championship in 1991 and has been a consistent champion at numerous other matches, including the Durango Junction High Country Shootout that he and his wife Shireen, also known as 6 Gun Red, put on every fall. And there's an address to write to for more information. The Durango Kid is an excellent pistol and rifle shooter. But when it comes to the cowboy-era pump-action shotgun, simply put, he's the best in the world.
That's it.
Woo! This program is designed to give you a better understanding of the shooting techniques used to become a more skilled cowboy action shooter. It is our hope that by watching this program, you will improve your overall shooting skills. Now, here's the Durango Kid with speed and accuracy. Cowboy action style. Awesome speed. There's nothing quite like it. Nothing so impressive as when man and his weapon become one. What's it take to develop this skill? For you to be fast on the draw and fast from shot to shot? Well, that's what this program is all about. We'll look at some of the fastest shooters in the world, compare their equipment, their techniques and methods, and talk with them one-on-one, all in an effort to find out how to shoot fast and accurately. I'm Lenny McGill. Shooting fast is easy. It's when you have to shoot fast and accurately that it becomes a lot more difficult. Now, I believe there are certain things you can do and concentrate on that are going to help you shoot faster. And that's what this program is all about.